So you like our videos, you find them informative. You can also talk to us one on one for absolutely free. And you can do that at your convenience with the click of a button. So why comment your queries and wait for a reply from somebody random when you can speak to Gradvine's counselors for free? Schedule your free consultation call using the link in the description. It won't even take you 30 seconds to book the call. And then you'll have an hour-long discussion with all your queries answered for free. So you can start to shortlist universities only after you're done with the GRE, right? You have to crack the GRE. Only then you can move ahead with figuring out what your target colleges are. Well, big mistake. This is a mistake that a lot of candidates make every year, and we've seen that for the last 7 years, and they realize it only towards the end. Now, for the rest of this video, I'm going to tell you why this is a mistake and how you should think and go about shortlisting universities. So stay tuned. To start off, I want to tell you that it's not your fault assuming that you have to take the entrance test, which is the GRE, and only then shortlist universities. That's just how the Indian student mindset is. But for foreign universities, it's very different. And the case is very different considering the years after the pandemic. First reason why you should shortlist universities before is the GRE is not even required or is optional at a lot of universities. And the kind of university that you get into is not dependent on your GRE score solely. In fact, the GRE is not even among the top 3 factors that's going to decide your admit. Therefore, you can come up with a very reliable shortlist even without a GRE score in hand based on your GPA, your technical projects, your internships, and your work experience if applicable. Hence, even though you cannot come down to a final shortlist which is finalized, you will still have a good list of universities that you can potentially target. Now, even if you go score a 330 on your GRE, if the rest of your profile is not strong enough, you cannot apply to a certain tier of schools because, like I said, the other elements of your profile are more important. Hence, you can have a fairly reliable shortlist without a GRE score in hand at all. Okay, this seems to be a timing issue. What is the other major advantage? Well, here it is. Like I told you, a lot of universities don't even require the GRE and will continue to not require it. Secondarily, at a lot of places, it's still going to be optional. If you have an optimized list based on your profile and you perhaps like the location, you like the cost, you like the career outcomes, you like the class size, you like various different factors, in your list, if you figure out that a large number of universities do not require the GRE at all, then maybe you can think of not taking it. What about the other scenario? Maybe you have a few universities where the GRE is not required at all and a few others where it's optional. Then you can decide whether you want to take the GRE for those 2-3 schools or not. If you have a couple of schools where the GRE is absolutely required and maybe you're not too keen on those schools, you can find equivalent replacements where the test can be optional or not required. Hence, you can decide whether to take the GRE or not by using this technique, and it has worked wonders for a lot of candidates in the past. The sooner you start thinking about your shortlist, the better it is. And what's the harm? You can modify the list post the GRE as well. But if you don't have this insight, you're giving the GRE going in blind, and that's not wise. A pause in our videos, and you know it's always a good pause because we have a very useful webinar coming up for you. We are talking about how it's important to start shortlisting universities early, but how do you shortlist universities? What factors do you consider? How do you evaluate your own profile? How do you know what admissions committees are considering while giving you the admission or no? All of these secrets will be revealed for free in our How to Shortlist Universities webinar. The link to sign up is in the description. Trust me, you don't want to miss this at this time of the year. My next point continues on to the fact that you're going into the GRE blind without a shortlist. Why is that? Now, let's assume that, okay, after this entire exercise, you concluded that you have to take the GRE because 3 or 4 of your target schools either have a compulsory GRE required yes, or you have an advantage if you submit a GRE score based on what the university is telling you. Well, you will know what the median quant scores and verbal scores are because most universities reveal this, and therefore you have a target score in mind. Just understand that in a lot of cases, as long as you're above a 315, the GRE is not going to be a factor for your rejection. But you can be better assured once you know that the 3-4 universities where you absolutely need the GRE and you're keen on, you know their median scores. Therefore, you know what kind of score you have to target on the GRE, and therefore you're going with a better strategy, better target, and you're not going in blind at all. The next point, a lot of you may or may not be aware that after you give the GRE, you're allowed to report your scores for absolutely free to up to 4 universities. Beyond these 4, or if you're not using these 4 free score reports, you have to pay for every single score report that you send. The figure that you have to pay will be put up on screen. It will pop up somewhere right now. Therefore, if you have a list ready, here are the advantages. Number one, you're going to ensure you're not sending a score to a university where the score is not required at all. That is a simple waste of money, because even though your score has been sent using one of your free slots, the university is not going to consider it. Second, if you have a tiered list, assuming that, okay, if I get a 315 plus, I will send it to these 4 schools. If I get it below a 315, I'll send it to these 4. You have a balanced list where the scores are going to places where they make sense. If you're applying to Stanford and you're submitting a 308 on the GRE, it may not be wise, right? In that case, you might want to consider applying test optional to some of your dream schools, which brings me to the next point. And this point is far more critical. Even if you make a mistake pertaining to the previous point, where you perhaps send it to a school where the score is not required, big deal. You lose that one slot, maybe you have to pay a little bit more. But if you send your GRE score to a school where you're way off the median score or the target score that they expect, and later you want to go test optional, a lot of times the school may not consider it because the score is on your record and you have voluntarily reported the score. Therefore, it is very, very critical that you pick these 4 schools wisely. Otherwise, you're just going to make a mess and muddle of the application process. The bottom line of this video is that you cannot wait to start researching universities and think about shortlisting them until the GRE is done. You might finish your GRE in August, September, or October. Maybe by that time you're missing a few priority deadlines where the GRE is not required by the university in question as well. The sooner you start thinking about universities, the better it is. And you have to think about the GRE and the target score based on the universities in hand, and not target the universities based on the GRE score that you get. This is the entrance exam mindset we have to get out of. Foreign university applications are far more holistic. So start your shortlisting process fast, whether you do it with us or you're doing it on your own.